Hello, fabulous Virgo. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of March 2014, Love Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Well, last month I told you that there was a new moon in your opposite sign. Your opposite sign tends to have to do with love and partnership, mirrored yourself being mirrored in the eyes of another. And because of that new moon happening right at the very end of last month, or for some of you, depending on where you are on the planet, at the very beginning of this month on March 1st, that really is the energy that you are continuing to carry in to this month. It is the dominant energy, this element of you wanting a love that is more inspired, and this element of you being open to a greater love than you've known before, being open to a fresh feeling in love. So that's sort of the energy that you are continuing as we enter this month. But the energy does start to shift. Now, when I look ahead, next month becomes much more about actually thinking about bigger picture, vision, fun, adventure, especially where it comes to a partner. And I'll be here to talk about that then. But for now, when the focus starts to shift, because you're entering with this very important energy with new starts in love that I, again, talked about last month. But once the focus shifts in the middle of the month, where it becomes much more about you and what you really want, and it becomes much more about what you really feel and being honest with yourself, this becomes a very key moment where it comes to love, preparing you for greater intimacy that is set to find you as you progress into the month. So, as I spoke about, I refer to, because it was such an important time, one of those highlight moments in love. Last month, considering that the new moon was in very close proximity to planet of inspiration and dreams and hope and even fantasy, Neptune, considering that this was taking place, and now considering that we've got, as I explained in the general overview, we've got this full moon in your sign. Now, full moons are always representative of matters very close to the heart. It's about your emotions. It's about what really matters to you. And, you know, we can say that a lot of things matter, and they do on a level of mind. They do on a level of our ambition even. But when it comes down to it, there are a few things that really affect us very emotionally, and depending on our associations to different things, they can take different forms. But ultimately, if you look at things, whether it's from a psychological theory or otherwise, what it really comes down to is that very deep emotional feeling we have to move ourselves towards greater love, greater wisdom, or to move ourselves in a direction where we can be pleased with ourselves and we can feel love and acceptance in a greater way than we've known before. And that's why relationships have a way of affecting us very deeply, of reaching right into the core of us, because they affect such deep levels of our psyche, and they have a way of reaching right into our very earliest moments of being incarnated, of being in our bodies and awakening those memories in our bodies and in our energy, even if mentally it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense on an intellectual level of awareness. And so this month, with the full moon taking place and speaking with planet of stability, Saturn, it does suggest that whatever hopes, inspirations, new beginnings happened for you, even though there was a lack of really a groundedness, if you will, that groundedness is going to come. And this does have to do with you really looking at love and the role that love plays in your life, and looking at this other person from a much more grounded perspective. And for some of you, this is going to involve you making an understanding, sort of having an understanding with your partner as to how it is that you could actually take those inspirations and hopes that manifested, that you're carrying into in the early part of the month, how you can actually take them and live them more fully. But there is a percentage of you out there, I have to be honest, because Saturn is about hard truth and looking at the future. And Saturn is at times, I have to be honest, associated with endings as well. It does look like a percentage of you are going to make the decision, and it seems very self-directed, but you're going to make the decision to move on, move forward, and sort of allow this alliance to come to a resolution. And so if that's the case, it looks like it's very much you making that choice, and it looks like you are very empowered by that choice as well, and very uplifted by that choice as well, with an understanding that you actually deserve to have something that can really be with you through the bigger picture of your life. And especially when I look at how the energy in the middle of the month becomes about being honest with yourself and making some choices that ultimately ground you and ultimately make you feel like you're moving towards something more stable. And then at the end of the month, or as we progress into the month, it becomes much more about moving towards greater intimacy. It does look like where it is that percentage of you don't have something that really feels honest and really authentic and really based on what is actually demonstrated and based on something where you actually feel like you can trust this person and be open to this person. Where it is that you don't have that, you're much more likely to let go, knowing that that is ultimately the priority. Ultimately, the priority is to have something that feels very close to you. And those of you who are right now in an established bond, it does look like, again, whatever inspiration sort of came up, you're sort of understanding how to move yourself forward, what it is, what you've hoped for or envisioned, which actually now in the middle of the month doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, isn't something you really want anymore with your partner. You guys are going to be more honest with yourselves about that and be able to make changes. But more than anything, it looks like you're making a plan about how you can solidify this bond and move together into the future. Those of you who have somebody sort of in your sphere, as I said, the likelihood of you sort of having a very honest evaluation of where it is actually this person that you care about, or where it is that it's actually the idea of love that matters to you more, that you've been running with, that is what you actually have been aiming for, and where this matches and where it doesn't. All of that is coming up for some honest evaluation. And for some of you, that's going to mean really grounding your expectations, looking at this person more honestly and deciding that you can actually come to some understanding and work with this and grow together. And for others of you, it is going to mean deciding to move on and saying to yourself, you know what? I thought that you were one way, and it's really okay that you're not, but I know that if I'm going to have what I really want, I've got to move forward from this bond. And there's a sense of empowerment in all of this. And those of you who are open to love, really, I think it's about you wanting something increasingly more honest. And so regardless of how light or what appears at the beginning of the month or as you end February, once we progress further and further the month, deeper layers of truth come forward as to what it is that really essentially matters to you in love. And once you're able to come to that sense of honesty, once you're able to really uncover that, I think that the likelihood of you actually getting it becomes much more available to you. Regardless, love is a huge theme right now. Seeing yourself as reflected in the eyes of another, as I like to say, becomes much more likely now, becomes a very strong theme for you right now. And it's all part of you understanding what it is that is going to represent love for you, whether it's self-love or love from another. And it is about you understanding that a love that is real, that is honest and grounded, a love that allows you to feel like you can really show yourself to another person, is a love that is worth working towards. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great month. Be fabulous and enjoy.